Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and some seriously juicy details about Tier 11 and the future of the game were released on the Gamescom stage yesterday. So without further ado, let's take a look at the highlights that were released, and if you want to check this video without my terrible commentary, then check it out on the official Wargaming YouTube channel. And I can tell you there's some really spicy info coming up.
In World of Tanks for the first time. This is a very important step for the whole game.
So firstly, if you have been sitting under a rock, World of Tanks 2.0 is coming on September the 3rd. I've covered it all in the big meaty video from earlier this week. Check that out if you have no idea what's going on. This is a supplementary video to give you an idea of all of the information that we have so far on Tier 11.
Tier 11 is, what new features it brings, and what opportunities it provides for players. The creative director of World of Tanks, Sergei Snizarenko, is here to fill you in.
The new tier expands and improves tank gameplay while keeping its core and essence. It creates an atmosphere of discovery even for veteran players. All players will reach Tier 11 for the first time, where everyone can choose their own new favorite tank, find the vehicle's weak spots, and even come up with some new tactics.
Hold on, you're telling me Tier 11s are actually going to have weak points? Well, that would be an upgrade over Tier 10. Maybe that's why they're putting the armor flashlight in, so we can find that like pixel maybe that's on top of them, right? I joke.
The way to get Tier 11 vehicles follow the game traditions. You open the tech tree, research a new tank for XP and purchase it for credits, nothing more.
That's it, it's that simple. 325,000 experience for each of the 15 new Tier 11s that you will have access to via the tech tree. And can I say, Wargaming, the price of 7.4 million, that's pretty darn fair. It's still a good amount of time that you'll have to spend grinding credits, but considering that our Tier 10s cost 6.1 million, I think 7.4 is not the crazy scaling upgrade that I thought that it could have been. So thumbs up from me, Wargaming, about that. However, there's one thing that we must clarify, and that is that there seems to be a little bit of confusion. And it's that, unfortunately, Wargaming released an article yesterday while I was streaming that really confused me. And that is because they said that you can also use national or universal blueprints to research the newcomers even faster. This is complete fiction. There must have been a mistake with communication between the departments, as that is not possible. The only way that you can be able to research Tier 11s is with experience, 325,000. You will not be able to use your blueprints in the system, at least for now. There's nothing saying that they might not expand the blueprint system in the future as a catch-up mechanic, but I'd say for at least a year, if not a year or a few years, you're just going to have to actually play your Tier 10s to unlock these vehicles.
There is only one exception, the main reward for personal missions. 16 unique vehicles of 4 types await you at Tier 11. 7 heavy tanks,
Awesome.
5 medium tanks,
Awesome.
3 tank destroyers, and 1 light tank.
It's almost as if Wargaming are putting in the amount of vehicles that they think leads to a healthy game of World of Tanks, which is good, right? The last thing that they'd want is to put in kind of like 5 light tanks at the start, and then it would just be a full Tier 11 light tank kind of game.
Each vehicle has its own role in battle. Tank destroyers come in both sniper and assault varieties. There are heavy tanks with versatile breakthrough.
If you're wondering what that vehicle is, by the way, specifically, this vehicle is the Black Rock. This is not a vehicle that you're going to be able to get through going through the T125. This is the one that will be available for you doing Personal Missions 3.0.
It's versatile breakthrough, assault, and support roles.
That is a 50B.
Medium tanks cover versatile, sniper.
The M48 one looks crazy. That's the 430U one.
Support.
And the back chat
of course,
at Tier
there's
11.
a light tank. Everyone can find something to their liking. This amount ensures that required diversity of vehicles and roles, and even allows for creating full-scale same-tier battles.
But that will be very interesting if we have ±0 at Tier 11. That definitely won't happen very early, although who knows, maybe everyone's going to unlock all of their Tier 11s on release day because you're all grinding your Tier 10s right now. You're saving up your credits. Maybe we will have 15 versus 15 of Tier 11 on the release day.
That's only the first 16 vehicles. In future, we're going to add new vehicles to this tier, each of which will have its own mechanics and other attributes that I will talk about soon.
So that's an important point. This is just the first step. 16 will become, who knows, 20, will become 30, will become 40, will become 50, covering all of the tier 10s that they have inside the game. And so uncheck accelerated crew training, not just in the 15 vehicles that will lead on to the 15 tech tree tier 11 tanks, but you might want to uncheck accelerated crew training in all of your tier 10 vehicles, and then stop when you get to 325 and accelerate crew training again so you can be prepared for the future.
The volume of high-tier content will expand gradually, now encompassing not 3, but 4 tiers, 8, 9, 10, and 11.
So this is interesting that they don't want to make you feel that your tier 8 tanks now become irrelevant or useless. I do expect that we're still going to see tier 8 going into frontline, at least for now. They might start to do tier 9 frontline in the future. They dabbled with it in the past a couple years ago, and that didn't really work because it was tier 8 and tier 9. But honestly, with the amount of tier 9 premiums that we have going into the game now, it wouldn't surprise me if they maybe try and shift frontline up to tier 9 as an experiment.
Tier 8 will remain the entry point to the high tiers, where vehicles start resembling the tanks at the crowns of their branches.
That makes sense. Tier 8 vehicles do resemble their high-tier counterparts. You know, quite often the jump from tier 7 up to tier 8 is astronomical. So yeah, tier 8, definitely that entry tier.
Frontline, Onslaught, Light, and other modes, all that remains tier 8 territory.
Keeping them going.
They keep the battle tier, while premium tanks of this tier still be your reliable source of prey.
These are all of the ones that are getting buffs, by the way, as you saw in the previous video. So if you see any of the vehicles here, including, I can't believe it, the TL7 and also the T54 heavy tank, those two could become legendary next patch. 114, we'll have to see. All of the statistical buffs are currently under NDA on the closed test server. So we're just going to have to wait if you're not able to get on there.
Income. Premium tier 9 will start earning even more than before.
Did you hear that? That is one of the biggest pieces of news of this video. Tier 9 premium tanks are having their credit income buffed, and that's because of their high base cost of repair. So yeah, tier 9, if it wasn't already the most fun place to play your credit grind, it is now going to be probably the best place to grind your credits if their income is going to be higher than tier 8.
4. And also keep bringing you rare currency, bonds. Tier 9 as a whole will become a part of a new ecosystem, where battles will become more diverse with the participation of tier 11.
That's true.
Sometimes they will be harder, but the rewards for such battles will increase.
Honestly, I think tier 9s will still be able to fight against tier 11s, but it's going to be the equivalent of a tier 8 fighting against tier 10s. It's going to be pretty brutal, but I think that it's a challenge that a lot of the tier 9s with their higher penetration will be able to step up to.
Tier 10 will keep its current gameplay, but now you can not only play but also research your preferred tier 11 vehicle. With the release of 2.0, tier 10 will remain the main tier for serious competitive play like Onslaught or Maneuvers. And of course, tier 10 will still earn bonds.
That's big news for competitive players out there. Don't panic, your tier 10 vehicles will still be the end game competition, at least for now. Undoubtedly in the future, when tier 11 becomes more prominent, but I expect this to be at least a year or 2, or maybe even 3 years down the line. Wargaming will probably make the shift of moving from tier 10 to tier 11, but don't panic and think that you have to get all of the tier 11s right now and go and grind your heart out and not enjoy the game when you're forcing yourself to grind to be able to unlock those tier 11s ASAP, because your tier 10s will remain relevant in the competitive version of the game, at least for now.
So tier 11, just expand the endgame content while continuing the game evolution in a natural way and leaving room for everyone else. It wouldn't be enough to just create stronger tanks for the new tier.
No? Whoa.
That's why we're introducing special mechanics, each created specifically for a particular tier.
So this is the tier 11 Badger. And as we can see with the flaps going up, it looks like it has a turbo mode.
Tier 11 vehicle. This is what makes the new vehicle special. The mechanics have been crafted to highlight the vehicle unique traits.
This looks like it's a charge shot on the 430U equivalent at tier 11.
Be active abilities.
You can see with the reticle there actually showing a higher amount of damage with the charge done.
or passive buffs that activate automatically.
That's the ramming on
For
the
example,
Tier 11 IS-7.
when you press X button, the Taschenrate fires a high explosive salvo from its two auxiliary guns. This significantly increases the...
That's amazing. It gets to fire a 1-2 when you use the special button, which looks to be the same one for the whole mode switch on your STRV 103B, for example. So the penetration of this double gun is likely to be quite low. It's more likely to be for finishing off those lightly armored tanks. But boy, that would be so cool for either tracking your opponents or for kind of like finishing off that little weasel light tank that's trying to flank you to then go and farm your backside.
Firepower in addition to its ammo. The ASXX-40T, a successor of the Batchat, has received an external ammo rack.
So is this where you're meant to shoot it to blow it up? Who knows? Maybe.
It gives you full control over the loading process. You decide for yourself how many shells will be loaded into your magazine.
Interesting mechanic there, because what is really the difference between you, for example, lowering the back and shooting and then raising the back and loading compared to an auto reloader? When you think about it, an auto reloader is always in the top position, but you can do whatever you want and you can shoot, right? So I guess for the Tier 11 Batchat, maybe it's going to not have the penalty of the shells taking longer and longer and longer to reload. So maybe it's going to be a case of not having that auto reloader penalty. So it'll work like an auto reloader, but not have the penalty of the longer and longer and longer shell reloads for punishing you for dumping the mag. So it's kind of like all of the advantages of an auto loader with practically none of the disadvantages that you'll get from that auto reloader.
The Leopard 120 Verbessert has a ballistic calculator that improves accuracy and gun stabilization. This highlights and strengthens the Leopard's sniper role.
Wow. So do you see how there's I think there's a little bit of a timer going on here. Let's just rewatch that very quickly.
Calculator that improves accuracy and gun stabilization. This highlights and...
You see how there's a little, like an indicator here or a meter that actually went back out for some reason. Not sure. I can try and figure out what that is. But yeah. Hitting those shots with the increased stability could be fun.
Sniper role. The new mechanics don't turn the game into a hero shooter.
That's an interesting point. The new mechanics don't turn the game into a hero shooter. These aren't going to be like buttons which you click where suddenly you go ultra turbo and you just destroy everything in your path. I guess they're going to be just more fleshed out and nuanced ways of having those kind of endgame mechanics. You know that feeling when you step up from Tier 7 to Tier 8 and you finally gain access to, for example, the Siege mode on the UDES? I'm pretty sure they're going to try and recreate that stepping up from Tier 10 to Tier 11, where it'll be a significant advantage for the vehicle, but it's not going to be like an I win button. At least I hope.
And superpowers that can completely decide a battle outcome. These mechanics just add more tactical depth. They open up more opportunities for team play. This is a new gameplay edge built into the familiar rules of the game. Having special mechanics for each vehicle is a completely new approach for creating tanks. It means that all vehicles in the tier can fight in their own way, not
This is the one that's going to create the team play. This is the Tier 11 Rheinmetall Panzerwagen, and it seems to have like a scouting shot where if you hit a vehicle, that it actually indicates that vehicle for all of your allies on the minimap and also on the UI. But crazily enough, if you hit a vehicle that's blind, it's still going to indicate that a tank has been seen. And that will open up massive opportunities. One of the crazy things about this feature, and I really can't wait to get my hands on this, is are you able to indicate with the UI tanks that are outside of the render distance? Will this show up as like a global ping that could be 720 meters, which is how far the shells could go? This could open up crazy opportunities for players to be firing outside of the typical view range of 568. Now, not view range, sorry, the render distance of where vehicles are actually rendered on your screen. That could massively change some of the maps. And whether that's going to break the game or not, we're just going to have to wait and see.
Like all other tanks in the game. At the same time, we've tuned the balance to ensure that Tier 10 and even Tier 9 vehicles always have a chance, and there are gradual growth in effectiveness as tier increase. Each Tier 11 tank is stronger than its predecessor at Tier 10. Which is logical, but the mouse could well stand its ground against the Taschenrate.
Well, show us
The
then.
new upgrade system is being introduced specially for Tier 11, and it provides a wide range of opportunities to improve your vehicle. Each tank...
Wow. All of the statistics shown here. So interestingly, what they showed up on the stage and what they showed in the video are actually different. So I guess they're still fine-tuning some of the experience requirements. But for the source that I'm hoping that is going to be correct, I added up all of the amount of experience that it's going to cost you to be able to fully upgrade a vehicle and to gain access to that double shot on the Taschenrate, and it is 325,000 experience. So it is the same cost for unlocking the Tier 11 as to when you fully upgrade the Tier 11, which is more expensive than the amount of experience that it takes you to unlock every single field mod on a Tier 10 tank. As far as I'm aware, it's 224,000 experience to be able to get all of the field mods on your Tier 10 tanks, which is roughly about the same price as it costs to unlock a Tier 10 vehicle. So in total, to go from a Tier 10, which you just bought, to be able to get a fully upgraded Tier 11 is going to be 650,000 experience. But your vehicles aren't going to be useless until you manage to upgrade them.
Tank has received its own upgrade tree, consisted of 25 upgrades. Small nodes give a moderate boost to characteristics, while big ones give a significant boost or mechanic improvement. For instance, the Taschenrate can give 200 hit points plus 2 km/h to its top speed, 100 horsepower, and even a 20% reduction to its auxiliary gun's loading time.
Wow, this is really big news. Really big news. The auxiliary gun loading time is going to be 40 seconds. That's very significant. So does that... Oh, so I actually told a fib. You aren't going to unlock the auxiliary gun through the final thing. It's going to just reduce the reload of it. So you are going to have the auxiliary guns from the get-go on the Taschenrate. We can see 50 seconds reload here before the upgrades, but the reload is going to go down to 40. So what I notice here is this is pretty much just like a field mods replacement. It's just there's no negatives from field mods. Like the field mods, for example, sometimes will improve your rate of fire by 3%, but you'll sacrifice 5% accuracy. This is just an all-round upgrade. Also, ladies and gents, we can take a look to see that the Taschenrate has 3,600 hit points when it's fully upgraded. If we times that by 12.5, which is the bond durability, oh yeah, not quite like that, guys. Not quite like that. It'd be 3,600 times by 1.125. 4,050 hit points is what a Taschenrate is going to have. That is a big old slug of HP up over a mouse. But to be fair, going from the Moisien to the mouse feels like it's bigger than going from the mouse to the Taschenrate. So maybe Wargaming have decided, obviously this is just a one tank example, but they've decided that going from Tier 10 to Tier 11 shouldn't be quite as big as the jump of going from Tier 9 up to Tier 10. Another thing I'd like to mention is this is a slow tank. It goes at 18 when it's stock, and it goes at 20 when it's fully upgraded. And that is with the field mods, right? So this is going to be slower than a mouse. Hopefully a lot of you have your bond turbo in engineering, because even with that, you're still going to be limited to 27 on this vehicle.
The upgrades will provide access
Also, did I just see that the Taschenrate is going to have 3,096 average damage per minute? I think that is also if you are including penning the auxiliary guns. But I think the auxiliary guns are going to have very low penetration, and so 3,096 DPM would give this as much as a current SDB1. Consider that the mouse only has about like 2,200. So I'm pretty sure that's just because of the idea of penning HE shells every 40 seconds. I don't think their plan is to make Tier 11 heavy, super heavy tanks have the same DPM as the highest DPM on Tier 10 mediums.
alternative loadouts, and the second equipment slot.
That's nice. We're not going to lose the opportunity to have a second set of equipment, and we're not going to lose the opportunity to have a second set of consumables. Maybe if you want to use a premium fuel, for example, instead of, I don't know, a med kit.
The new system replaces field modification for Tier 11 vehicles. To unlock upgrades, you only need one base currency, XP. No additional complications. And you can unlock everything. You just need to choose what you want to get earlier and what to put aside for later.
So you can focus on what you want to upgrade first. It looks like there's 2 timing upgrades of the auxiliary guns, so if you really want to just fire those auxiliary guns. Do you know a question I have? Is the ammo of the auxiliary guns going to be free, or is it going to be a separate ammo? Because in theory, ladies and gents, could the Taschenratte be the ultimate vehicle for actually making credits in World of Tanks? Of course it's not going to be. I'm just memeing here. But there will be players out there who just don't take regular ammo, so therefore they can't be ammo racked and they just want to use the auxiliary guns. Please don't do that. Please don't do that.
The new upgrade system provides new opportunities and doesn't impose any limitations. For example,
unless you don't have a lot of time to play.
Since survivability won't come at the cost of mobility. You can upgrade your tank in many aspects at once, and each vehicle will have its own upgrade list. After you opened all the upgrade nodes, your vehicle will get elite status, and you'll be able to get the new customization elements.
This is the cool stuff.
Exclusive to Tier 11. Stat tracker shows everyone around how many tanks your vehicle has turned into wreckage.
Awesome.
New volumetric style.
I really hope there'll be different tank trackers that we can focus on. Maybe you want to go for kills, maybe you want to go for hero medals, maybe you just want to go for like the highest damage total that you've got on the vehicle. Something like that could be really funky.
Depth to the vehicle texture without...
Let me clarify this. This volumetric styles, whatever they want to call them, or camo, it's kind of halfway between a 3D style and a 2D style. It's not complicated for them to be able to put on a vehicle, at least as far as I'm aware. It adds that kind of like 3D depth, but it still allows you, I believe, to have more funky designs than maybe you could have easily with a 3D style.
Changing the external geometry. Separate customization elements for gun barrels, camo nets, protective covers, inscriptions, and much more.
This is cool. This is what we've been asking for since the beginning of the game. It'd be really nice if you had an opportunity to be able to customize it and place it, but I guess if they just add a lot of gun sleeves, that will still fit that narrative.
All this is more than just cosmetics. First off, it's an additional incentive to play in your favorite vehicle.
Rockets are in the middle of the BZ.
And besides that, it shows you've played many battles in this tank and know how to use it. Tier 11 will charge into battle with the release of Update 2.0. It will add a new layer of gameplay, where each tank equals a unique play style, each with its own mechanics, own upgrades, and own way to victory. You can research Tier 11 thoroughly, and in your own time. It will remain the highest tier in the game for a long while. We won't go higher until this tier has been filled enough.
Wow, that is possibly the biggest news of this video. Wargaming seemingly and weirdly, in my opinion, wanting to reassure you that they're not going to next year, for example, just release tier 12. But clearly laying a narrative that it will be on the table, if not pursued, in the future. That they said that they will flesh out tier 11 before they expand in the future. That it won't go higher until the tier has been filled enough. That suggests to me that it's in their workflow. That suggests to me that it's in their plans. Maybe this is bold, but I don't know why they would put that in the video unless they really wanted to tell us that they have plans for tier 12 soon. And I don't understand quite the purpose of telling us that there will be tier 12. Let me clarify. When I say soon, could be 3 years, could be 5 years, but it's definitely on the table. Maybe this is Wargaming being bold and saying, yeah, the narrative has changed, the paradigm has shifted, you know, those tier 10s that you thought, no, we're going further into the future. This definitely makes me feel either maybe they've got a little bit sensitive with people who have been trolling them, telling them that the game was going to close this year or next year. It's clearly not. But also, I do feel that by Wargaming saying that it might further alienate players from either A, wanting to invest the time to get the tier 11s, or B, for example, getting tier 10 premiums, which inevitably will enter the game, or spending all of that time getting more tier 11 reward vehicles, if undoubtedly Wargaming are very much considering that after they have filled out enough tier 11 tanks that they will make the jump to tier 12. I don't know about all of you, but I feel that one of the big attractive aspects of World of Tanks was that if you invested time into that tier 10, irrelevant of whether you did it 10 years ago or a year ago, up until literally this week, you would have thought, okay, I got that tier 10. It may have taken me a lot of time, but boy, I'm going to have that forever. I've got that big top tier tank forever. And so by investing your time into that, you never felt like it was wasted or that it was going to be replaced. However, now, with the prospect of tier 12 going into the game, when tier 11 has been fleshed out, I really wonder if a lot of you maybe won't want to spend so much time investing in getting all of those really hard to get tier 11 tanks, because they're just going to be expanded with another vehicle that maybe does more ramming damage, or it fires slightly faster, or it has more armor, or it has more hit points. And while, yeah, the game needs to expand, it needs to grow, it needs to have a reason for players to be able to play it, I think it's going to be, at least for me, harder to justify making those sacrifices in my life to invest that time to be able to grab the extra content. And let me clarify, look, this is my full-time job. The sacrifices that I make are definitely first world problems, where quite a lot of the sacrifices that people who it's not their full-time job have to make, they're a lot more real. So to all intents and purposes, like, Wargaming just confirmed that tier 12 is on the horizon, the distant horizon, maybe halfway around the world for now.
Higher until this tier has been filled
Amazing.
Enough.
Amazing.
At the moment, tier 11 provides all the necessary space to introduce all the innovations we planned. We don't force changes. Gameplay at high tiers will develop naturally, depending on how players interact with tier 11. We're in no rush.
No rush,
Battles
but
at
tier
this new
12.
tier work by the usual rules, but they feel fresh. Tier 11 is easy to jump into since the foundation is familiar and clear.
That's true.
But at the same time, each battle will bring new situations, new challenges, and new excitement.
That's true. I guess, ladies and gents, boys and girls, you have to just decide about whether you think that change is exciting or whether you think that change is scary. You know, there's two kinds of people. They look at change with admiration, new opportunities, new possibilities. And there are people who really like what they have, the foundation that they have, and they're concerned about the possibility of that becoming very different in the future. World of Tanks, you could argue, has stagnated over the last 15 years. Player numbers kind of at an all-time low, I'd say, and probably about half of that of the dizzying heights that we had at the peak of World of Tanks, which is in 2016, before competition in the free-to-play market became oh so much more fierce in 2017 with the release of games like Fortnite. I do feel that this is the natural place that Wargaming have to go to be able to continue extending content and to give players something to do inside the game. It's just a little sad because honestly, the game had kind of turned into this magical sweet spot that the players who were still playing it were playing it because it was fun. They were playing it because it was a good game and not playing it because they were grinding for that next vehicle or they were jumping through that hoop that's been laid out to them. And I have to admit, with the idea that World of Tanks, hold on, I just got to do this very quickly, could become like this on the horizon very, very soon, it's incredibly intimidating. As somebody who's invested a huge amount of time into a game like World of Warcraft, every time an expansion came, it definitely was a little bit heartbreaking in a way, because while you had that amazing, awesome, exciting opportunity to go explore new worlds, it also completely reset all of the effort and the energy that you had put into the previous content. And with Wargaming now seemingly, well, definitely expanding to tier 11. And what with Sergey said, when it's been fleshed out, expanding to tier 12, I really question how sad I'll be when I feel that my mouse kind of becomes my frontline tank rather than something that I can play in a competitive format. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was my extended look at tier 11 with all of my thoughts, enjoyment, and also concerns as to what might be on the horizon for World of Tanks. There's no doubt this is going to be a truly exciting period to be in World of Tanks, and I really hope this video was useful for fleshing out Wargaming's tier 11 reveal, and also helped you with hopefully making some decisions about how to invest your economy to get those tier 11 tanks. Anyway, that was it for today. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know what you think about tier 11. And specifically, let me know what you think about Sergey said about the possibility of, when they fleshed out tier 11, that they will be expanding the end game once again. Do you think that's healthy for the game? Or do you think you have those same feelings that I did? That what's the point if the possibility in the future that those tanks won't become useless? You can definitely still play them, but you're just going to have to do it all over again. Is that a process that you enjoy, or is it a process that's intimidating? And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.